What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about wide receiver George Pickens. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content or NFL content. If you'd like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. And if you'd like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So as I mentioned in today's video, I do want to talk about wide receiver George Pickens. And there has been rumors that the Falcons could trade for the superstar wide receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Personally, if I were the Atlanta Falcons, I wouldn't trade for George Pickens. I do believe that George Pickens is a really good player, 6'3", 200 pounds. In his first 3 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had 1,000-yard receiving season. Last season, he had about 900 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And he is one of those guys that's still in his prime. He did play his college football at Georgia University. He is a big-time playmaker. But what I don't like about George Pickens is his off-the-field antics. And he is one of those guys that's kind of like a diva type wide receiver. He's a guy that complains about the football. He's one of those guys that sometimes at times will give up on plays. Last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've seen situations where he didn't run his routes completely, full speed. You see him at times where he was out there not blocking for his running backs and blocking for his teammates and things of that nature. And he's one of those guys that gets frustrated really easily and wears his emotions, on his sleeve. And personally, that rubs me the wrong way, especially in a game of football. I don't mind players playing, with passion and with heart, but I don't like guys that have character issues. And to me, George Pickens is one of those guys to me that comes across that he has character issues, and football is the ultimate team sport. When you talk about being 1 of 11 out there on the field, and if one player is not out there doing their job, it can cause, the play to be a negative play if one guy's not on top of his job blocking or running his route completely, running his route full speed. And I've seen too many times where George Pickens is giving lackluster effort, and then he speaks out a lot in the media negatively towards his teammates and things of that nature. So personally, I don't see George Pickens being an Atlanta Falcon. As much as I'm hearing, these rumors that the Falcons could trade for him and put him opposite of Drake London, we know that the Atlanta Falcons don't usually draft players or trade for players or sign players in free agency that has character issues. And that's something that I've seen with George Pickens, similar to Antonio Brown when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And personally, I don't believe as well. We don't have the structure as far as our coaching staff. I don't really feel like we have the proper coaching as far as to keep that type of volatile, that volatile attitude under control. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one of the most disciplined franchises. I really feel like Mike Tomlin is one of those alpha males when they talk about being a leader of men. And if he's having trouble with keeping George Pickens in check, I really don't feel like Raheem Morris, the head coach of our Atlanta Falcons, will be able to keep George Pickens in check in the locker room and things of that nature. Now, I do believe that George Pickens has great talent. His ability to go down the field and make big plays down the field, I feel like he tracks the ball. He's probably a top 5 wide receiver as far as tracking the deep ball and things of that nature. I've seen him make some circus catches last year. With Russell Wilson, we've seen the big game that he had against Atlanta in week 1 last year where he made some huge plays down the field. He has really good hands, really good length, really tall wide receiver, athletic, can adjust to the football. I just really feel like if he wants to be all that he can be in the league and, to take his game to that next level, he's going to have to be more of a professional and kind of mature a little bit. So personally, I hope nothing but the best for George Pickens in his career. If the Falcons were to, trade for him, of course, I would support him and things of that nature and root for him. But I don't see it, happening with our Atlanta Falcons just based off of what George Pickens has shown me so far in his NFL career, with his attitude, with the way that he goes about his professionalism, addressing the media and things of that nature. I don't see the Atlanta Falcons bringing that type of player into our locker room. So with that being said, You guys give me your thoughts on George Pickens. Do you believe that George Pickens is one of those guys the Falcons could possibly trade for? This is one of the rumors that I'm hearing and seeing on social media, is that the Pittsburgh Steelers may be shopping him, and the Atlanta Falcons could be one of those teams that could be interested. Now, personally, just to address that really quick, I don't think that the Falcons need a George Pickens. Last year, Drake London proved that he is a #1 target as far as a wide receiver, and Darnell Mooney proved that he's a #2 with him having almost 1,000 yards receiving as well. So at this point, I really don't feel like there's even enough footballs to go around for George Pickens unless we were to move a Darnell Mooney like in a trade. And being that Darnell Mooney, I believe, signed a 3-year deal when we signed him in the offseason last year, I really feel like there's not even enough footballs to go around to try to squeeze in George Pickens, because George Pickens is one of those guys, based off his attitude, he's going to want the ball. And I don't see him and Drake London and those guys being able to coexist on this same roster with Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and all of the litany of guys that the Falcons have already on the offensive side of the ball. I don't feel like George Pickens will be a good fit with the Atlanta Falcons. But with that being said, you guys give me your thoughts on George Pickens. I have a lot more content coming for you guys. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up, be blessed. Peace.